Observational data is a method that observational data is a collecting method is collected using observational data. It is collected by observational data is collected using methods such as human observations and open-ended surveys. Tapos, ito ay captured observational data is captured real-time. Observational data is captured real-time. It is collected using methods. Observational data is collected using methods such as human observation, open-minded surveys, and data are captured real-time. That is observational data. So, in-observe mo siya, kailangan real-time. Experimental data, it is collected through active intervention. Typically allows the researcher turn a causal data relationship and is typically projectable to a larger population. So, experimental data is collected through naman active intervention. So, yung isa captured real time. Ito naman active intervention such as wala siyang typical of a researcher din. So, experimental is collected through or using intervention through active intervention. Observational data is captured real time and it is collected using methods such as human observation and open-minded surveys, and it is captured in real time. Tapos naman, yung experimental data, it is collected through active intervention. It allows the researcher determine a causal data relationship. So, it is projectable to a larger population. So, experimental data is projectable to a larger population. Yun yung experimental. Experimental is collected using active intervention. It typically researchers typically typically allows the researcher to determine a causal data relationship. It determines causal data relationship, and it is typically it is projectable to a larger population. So it is experimental data collected through an active intervention typically allows the researcher to determine a causal data relationship. So, experimental data is collected using is collected through active intervention. It typically allows the researcher to determine causal data relationship and is projectable to a larger population. Okay. Simulation data naman is imitating the operation of a real-world process or system over time using computer test models used to determine what would or could happen. So, it is used to determine what would or what could happen. So, simulation data, it determines what would and could happen, what would and could happen under a certain condition. So, it is the imitating operation of a real world. Imitating real world process. Imitating the operation. It is imitating the operation. So, simulation, it is imitating the real world process, and it determines what would and could happen under a certain conditions. So, operation of a real world process, simulation data, is imitating pala, hindi pala mo imitating. Simulation data is imitating the simulation data is simulation data is imitating the real world process system, the real world process, and it is used to determine what would and could happen under a certain condition. So that is simulation data, imitating. Sa experimental naman, active intervention. Sa observational data naman ay real time. Okay. Derived or compiled data. Derived data, or can be also called as compiled data, is using existing data points, often from different data sources, to create new data through arithmetic formula or aggregation. Arithmetic formula. So, sa derived compiled data naman, ginagamitan siya ng arithmetic formula, and it uses existing data points to create a new one. Kasi compiled siya. Derived or compiled data. It uses derived or compiling data. It uses existing data points to create a new one. And to create a new data through arithmetic formula and aggregation. So derived or compiled data uses existing data points to create a new data through arithmetic formula and aggregation, and that is derived or compiled data. Dalawa pa kaya ba ito? Quantitative data, qualitative data naman, it is, it is expressed through graphs, tables, words, ganon. Ayan. It's collected using questionnaires, interviews, observation, it appears in narrative form. Quantitative data appears in narrative form. It is defined as non-numerical data. Non-numerical data and can be examined for patterns or meaning. Appears in narrative form. Defined as non-numerical data and can be examined for patterns or meaning. So it can be examined for patterns or meaning. It appears in narrative form. And it is defined as non-numerical data and can be examined for patterns or meaning. So, example of qualitative data is hair color. Shape of candies, blood type, sex, result of categories or describing attributes. Result of categories or it is the result of categories or describing attributes. It is a result of categorizing. It is the result of categorizing and describing. Tapos yung isa naman. So, examples of qualitative data are hair color, sex, ethnic group, blood type, shape of candies, hair color. Example of qualitative data, hair color, shape of candies, blood type, sex, ethnic group, nationality. Okay, so examples of qualitative data are hair color, shape of candies, Example of qualitative data are hair color, shape of candies, blood type, sex, ethnic group, and nationality. It is the result of categorizing and describing attributes of population. So it is the results of describing and it is the results of categorizing and describing attributes of population.
Sa po tayo bumili kahapon. Diba sa kabila?
Quantitative data.
Tanungan natin.
Address the what or how. Quantitative data is based
So,
on
walang credit yan. 40 yun.
Quantitative data is expressed through numbers, numericals,
Ay, alam, sumama kayo naman nagawin yan sa
addresses what or how many aspects of research question. It address what or how many. So, quantitative data is expressed through numbers, graphs, tables. It addresses the what or how many aspects of research question is gathered as questionnaire. Example is a rating scale or a thermometer. Okay. It is the result of counting and measuring of a population. It is the result of describing and it is the result of categorizing and describing attributes of a population. Then quantitative data, it is the result of measuring and counting and measuring. It is the results of data by results of counting and measuring data of population. It is the results of counting and measuring of a population. This is a result of categorizing and describing attributes of a population. categorizing and describing, counting and measuring.
Ano nire-review? Oh! Ano nire-review mo?
Research.
Research.
May research lang next, di ba? Tapos ka na?
Hindi ka ba nakapag-review ng ano?
Alam ko na siya, pero ang hindi ko alam, yung nag-summarize. And it's hard, no? Kaya may isa-summarize tayong simple research. Summarize mo siya into 1 to 2 sentences, tapos cite. Ay. Mahirapan kasi ako
Madali lang daw sabi ng mga
Naka-judge yun,
di lang ako sa part na ang mahirapan.
Hindi siya nagsisin. Okay lang, madami naman tayo. Wala siyang good.
Kapag-review ka na ng physics.
Not yet. Pero kasi yung battle of the bands kasi, kaya I think I have enough knowledge naman.
ICT.
Sana sayaw yung bill.
Nag-ano rin kahapon, nakasagot ako, so
May plus points ka ba? Sana all.
wala ka ba nakuha?
Wala!
Last ako nakakuha 1 point. At least, diba?
Aabot ka.
Leaders of logically and coherent overall strategy. Research design. Considering research design. Research design and logical and coherent overall strategy. Research design.
Bakit? Apod na yun, maaga pa lang.
Ano, magpapakulay ka?
Hindi ko pa kaya ka nag-review kain para payagan ako eh.
Never ka ba nagpakulay?
Oo, hindi ako pinayagan. Last 2020 pa ata, last na paalam ko, hindi ako pinayagan yun.
Lakas ng pag-aya mo. Isip ka.
Hindi ko maalam. Bakit kailan ka magpapakulay ng buhok?
Break. Inaano ko nga ash brown. Yan ano.
Mine's hair tea brown. Ay,
Honey
milk
tea.
Yeah, honey tea or milk tea brown.
Naisip ko nga kung mag-chestnut ulit ako.
Bago ka, para iba-iba. Explore mo yung mga new colors. Kaya mag-pink pa.
Sabi nga ng ate ko, sabi ko kulay red.
No, red!
Sige ka.
Logical and coherent overall strategy. Research design in quantitative data is logical and coherent overall strategy. There are 4 types of research design. Descriptive research, correlational, quasi-experimental.
Hindi pa si Sir ano niya. Sir Erwin, ayun naman, ang hina-hina naman ang boses. Madali lang yun. Hindi. Ay! Ako ko nakakita kayo sa
Experimental. Quasi-experiment. Correlational research, descriptive research, correlational research, quasi-experimental and experimental research design. Descriptive research. It is exploratory in nature. To answer questions such as
ano
who,
wala.
what, where, when, and how much. For whose answers. For whose. Descriptive research design answered to for whose. Who, when, what, why. Who, ay, wala palang why, where yun. Who, what, where, when. Who, what, where, when, and how much. Who. Who. What. When. Where. So descriptive research design answers the four W's. Who, when, where. Who, when, where, what. Walang why. Who, what, when, where. When, where. Descriptive research design answers the four W's. Who, what, when, where. Who, when, what, where. Best exploratory nature. It is exploratory nature. Exploratory nature. Best use if main objective is to observe, report. Observe or report descriptive. Observe, report a certain phenomenon. Descriptive research design is exploratory in nature and answers the four W's, which are the who, what, when, where, and it is observe. The main objective is to observe or report a certain phenomenon. It is used to observe or report. Observe or report a shit. Observe or 9:30.
Tignan mo, mag-aalas
20.
Sabat. 9 o'clock. 8 or 9.
Correlational research design main goal is to determine variable increases. Variable increases correlate and 6 to establish an association between variables. Establish an association between variables. 6 Correlational data. Main objective of a correlational data is to observe, to determine if variable increases or decreases while or as another variable increases or decreases. Correlational data's main goal is to determine if variable increases or decreases as another variable increases and decreases. It establish an association between variables. Does not seek cause and effect. So correlational data does not seek cause and effect. No cause and effect. Has two major purposes. A is to clarify relationship between variables. To clarify relationship between variables. Predict the okay, what are the two main types? What are the two major purposes of correlation? Two major purposes of correlational research design. Two major purposes of correlational research design is to clarify relationship between variables, to clarify and predict the magnitude of the association. Two major purposes of correlational is to predict and clarify. To clarify the relationship between variables. Clarify relationship between variables. Clarify the relationship two major purposes of correlational research design is
8 or 9?
To clarify relationships between variables and to predict the magnitude of the to clarify and predict quasi-experimental research designs aim to measure the causal relationships between variables. Relationship but measure aims to measure the quasi-experimental research design measures the relationship between variables. That measure is considered occur during contact of one side. So yung measure sa quasi ay basta yung gano'n nag-occur just sa exact time. Comes from assigning subjects. The measures, the relationship between measures is quasi, tapos experimental research design based on the scientific method of experiment under a controlled or manipulated experiment, also known as true experimental design, the treatment and manipulation. Based sa true experimental design, experimental research design, true experimental design applies treatment and manipulation. It applies treatment and manipulation sa quasi plus measures. Experimental research design experimental research design experimental design based on scientific method. Experimental research design based on two experimental design. It applies treatment and manipulation. It applies treatment and manipulation. It applies treatment and manipulation. So experimental research design. Based on the scientific method to experimental design, it applies treatment and manipulation. It applies treatment and manipulation based experimental research design based on scientific method to experimental design. It applies treatment and manipulation. Experimental research, it applies against a certain variable. Basic importance, significance of the study is the basic importance of the speech. Significance of the study is basically the importance of your speech. Importance of your speech. Importance of your speech. Importance of your speech.
May gana kita pa ngayon din. Dagan mo kami nakabalik sa isa.
Importance of significance of your study is basically the importance of your speech. The importance of your speech, significance of the study is stated in the introduction section. Let's highlight how your research will be beneficial. So, significance of the study which should be put on the introduction. It is basically the most important. It is basically the importance of the speech, significance of the study, and it should be put on the first introduction. Must be stated in the introduction section and must be highlight how beneficial it is sa brings clarity, the review of related literature. It brings clarity and focus to your research problem. So, review of related literature. It brings clarity and focus to your research problem. Improve your methodology. Provide foundation of knowledge on the topic. Contextualize your findings. Contextualize, provide foundation, bring clarity. Review of related literature to bring clarity and focus. Improve methodology, provide a foundation, and contextualize.
Visit na ako, basta ito nga.
Ideas without proper citation. Citing source reference without information mark, borrowing instructor phrases without reading the source, borrowing all part of another student's paper, using all or part, using paper writing services having a friend write a paper. Scientific writing, paraphrasing, is to include ideas or information from an original source. So, ang paraphrase is kukuha ka ng ideas to make ideas from an original source. To repeat or copy out a group of words. To repeat or copy out a group of words. Summarizing. Taking a lot of information and creating a condensed version. Taking a lot of information and creating a condensed information is summarizing. Scope and elimination, it involves those which are capable to do or to manage. Capable to do, handle or to manage. Capable to do, to handle or to manage. Scope and elimination is capable to do, to manage, to handle, to manage. Capable to do, to manage, to do, to handle, to do, to handle, to manage. To do, to handle, to manage. General format. May-use the tapos purin lahat. Ay, hindi pa lahat. Saan ko pa mag-ano ng summarize.